So hello, my name is Hagit, and I'm a PhD student here in the faculty in the Biofluids lab. And in the last few days, me and my team were working on the product that you will just see. But when I'm not doing this activity, I'm actually a mother to 3 girls, and the 3 of them has a certain level of breathing problems. When the second of them actually was hospitalized when she was only 6 months old, due to a really acute levels of saturation. And when we got to the hospital, she was attached to a nasal cannula, just as you saw before, in order to increase her saturation levels in the blood. And it was very uncomfortable for her. She was very young. But the main problem actually happened during the night. Like, you could see that she wasn't at ease and that she couldn't sleep well. And when she did sleep, she kept moving and rolling from one side to another, just as the previous group said, because it's very hard to sleep when you're having breathing disorders. And the tubing kept failing. So when I was awake, I was reattaching the tubing to her face. But when I was asleep, the saturation levels of her just dropped and dropped. And you can understand that it was a very long procedure until we were released finally from the hospital. And thankfully today she's a 4-year-old, she's happy and she's healthy. Thank you for asking. And thank God we're so glad that we don't need to deal with this anymore. But sadly, many people all over the world actually suffer from these symptoms on a daily basis. So, this is not my daughter, I gotta mention. But this is how she looked, and you see that it's not a nice sight. But chronic obstructive pulmonary disease patient actually report on sleeping problems that actually affect their quality of life. And when I'm saying COPD people, so it was mentioned before, all these statistics, but I will just emphasize that we're talking about 5% of the world population, which means that when 50% of them are complaining on significant disturbances in sleep, we're talking about 165 million people in the world. So not only that they suffer from this horrible disease, they also don't sleep well at night, so they don't have the power and the strength to deal with it on the next day after. So what we're trying to do in our group is to make it easier for them to get a rest at night so they can deal with their daily based life. So one of the recommended treatments for these symptoms is actually oxygen therapy, as mentioned before. So usually you have oxygen tank or you have oxygen concentrator that is connected to a tube or to a mask, as my friend here shows, and he will demonstrate how it goes. And as mentioned before, this is not the most convenient solution. It's not uncomfortable. It's cumbersome. Of course, it's unsteady, so while you're sleeping, you can move, and it can fall off your face. And when mommy is not there to reattach it to your face, it could be actually very dangerous. Also, there is the problem of aesthetics, but I guess that among the other problems, this is the least of the problems. So what we want to do is we want to use the current solution and to make it better, to make it much more convenient and comfortable for the patient, so it will be nicer and more pleasant to deal with. So what we need is something that is more steady, that it won't fall off, and that it will be, of course, comfortable. And we also would like to use the natural environment of the patient. And as mentioned before, we want to use the personal pillow of the patient. So this is our product. What you see here is a pillow that is wrapped in a cylindrical way around the backside of the head of our patient. And what you see here or here is that we have in this area, it doesn't cover the whole face, and it doesn't have to contain the tubing that also can fall and also have problem. Only if the patient needs it, then it's optional according to the condition of the patient. But we also can push the oxygen from this area, and then it goes to the upper area, as you can see here, like it's sucked here, like a hood, like a biological hood, that it sucks the air from here. So this mask gives confidence to our patient. He can sleep nicely because he knows that it will not fall off of his face.
Actually, it's very comfortable.
Yes. So says the man in the hood. And another thing, to make it even more confidence, we also put sensors inside our pillow to monitor the saturation level and the heart rate, because they can also drop without correlation to the oxygen that we actually pump. In that case, when our levels reaching low and risky values, it can wake our patient. So our patient is not afraid to fall asleep in case of losing oxygen because he will be awakened by our pillow. In case he doesn't wake up and the values reach lower limit, then of course it will contact an immediate assistant. So another thing that I want to show you here, and what's more important is that our patient knows that he can sleep while somebody else is watching him sleeping. So here is a demonstration of the data that we took from, like physiological data that we took and that our system analyzed. So you can see that we have the saturation, the heart rate. Also, our pillow is synchronized with the inhalation and exhalation so that it pulses oxygen only when he inhales, so just to avoid wasting. And you can see here the oxygen level, which are very low. And once we reach bad values, it has alarm. So other than being life-saving and infusing oxygen to our patient, we also want this pillow to be comfortable to our patient, because what we care about is to make it nicer and easier and more simpler for him to deal with his COPD. So we use an ergonomic and modular design of our pillow, which you can see here. It actually wraps the whole area and it covers some of the back, so we can get like a sensor about the pressure of increasing volume. And also it's from material that is absorbable to absorb any human fluid that may come out during the night. So, eventually, who are we? Sorry. So we're 3 biomedical engineering from here in the faculty, and 1 mechanical engineering who also did this industrial designs of our amazing product. And we would like to take our pillow idea and in order to help COPD patients to make their life much more easier. And we would like your support for that. So we would really appreciate if you consider us to continue further, so sleep on it. And questions. So.